Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Unscripted Thoughts. Today, we'll be taking a look at modern clone trooper sets. Now, these are an interesting subject to tackle because we've gotten some really good clone trooper sets in the past few years, but we've also gotten a few meh ones as well. So today, I'll be taking a look at a selection of clone trooper sets to see what good and what bad came from them and where they might head into the future. And no, I will not be taking the ARC 170 into account, as I already went over that a bit in my last video. So these are only clone trooper sets that have been on the market and are retiring soon or have already retired as of the making of this video. Now, the first set we'll cover here is one that I actually like a lot, that a lot of people might not like so much, and that's the Republic fighter tank from 2022. This came with a exclusive Legion that we probably won't ever see again in LEGO form, the 187th. It has a nice purple look to them, and it stands out amongst all the other clone Legions, so that's got a point there for a good attribute. However, a lot of people complained about the build not being accurate, and while that might be true, I think it sacrificed accuracy for more play, as you can fit more clone troopers inside this tank, making it feel like a transport of sorts on top of a weapon. We also get this really nice clone officer. I don't remember what they're called, but I absolutely love that we have him in purple. It looks great. And we also get a nice Mace Windu figure along with two droids. Honestly, while this set may have been a bit overpriced at $40, it is nothing compared to the overpriced sets of today. Although, there is one thing I don't like about it. It feels a little too big for a tank. It feels like they used a bit of bigger pieces to justify the price, and as such it came looking more blocky rather than clean, which is what some LEGO Star Wars sets look like today. A good example is the Imperial Star Destroyer. You have a nice clean look that doesn't look super blocky, whereas the Republic fighter tank looks a bit excessively blocky. I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels like it was a bit rushed just so they could justify a price tag. But other than that, I kind of like the look of it, and I like that they incorporated some ways to load your clone troopers in and make it feel like an actual battle. So I do like that. Now we're going to go to a clone set that I actually don't like a lot, but I don't exactly hate. And it's going to be a bit controversial, but the 501st Battle Pack from 2020. This came with 285 pieces and a nice selection of clone figures. You got 3 base 501st minifigures and 1 jetpack trooper, which is solid. I do like the jetpack trooper here, and I wish we got more of these guys, but as of right now, this is the only jetpack trooper we've gotten for the 501st. We also get an AT-RT in the 501st Blue, which did show up in 2013. And we also get a Bark Speeder here, which was reused somewhat recently in the new Grogu Escape set. Now, the one thing I don't like here is how one-sided this feels. You do get a couple droid minifigures, but I think this fails to understand the point of a big battle pack build like this, because there are way more vehicles on one side than the other, which is, I think, one thing that the Clone versus Droid Battle Pack did really well was making it feel even-sided. Whereas here it feels a bit unbalanced, and as such, that kind of ruins the vibe of the set. I will say I do like having an AT-RT and a Bark Speeder in my collection as vehicles, but overall I feel like this set just kind of missed the mark when it came to the builds, and I would have loved to see something interesting for the droids. But oh well, this set has been long retired since then, and I am happy to have it in my collection, as it is one of the only modern clone trooper sets to not incorporate the helmet holes, although I do not care about them that much. Next, we're going to get into possibly one of my favorite cheap Clone Trooper sets, although it isn't much great for army building, and that's the Captain Rex Y-Wing. Now, I have a soft spot for microfighters simply because it gives you a better way to access certain sets that you might not have gotten before. And also, them being small makes it a nice display piece if you don't have much space to work with, which is why I'm glad they made a set specifically for Captain Rex, because this was a figure I was highly anticipating and wanting to get, but the Venator was way too expensive, and I'm glad they cheapened the price for this figure. Honestly, having him alongside the 501st as well as fives really adds to the connectivity of having a small clone army. And for a price point of $13, which is a slight increase for microfighters, given the quality of the figure presented, I'm actually not too mad with it. And considering there are rumors of a Plo Koon microfighter being priced at the same point, I think they're starting to do a new thing with microfighters where we're going to get exclusive characters. But more on that in a future video. Up next, we're going to tackle one of the big Clone Trooper sets we've gotten, and that's the ATTE. Now, this is still on the market, and this is when they started developing helmet holes, which honestly, I don't see the whole controversy around. I don't think there was any better way to work around this problem, and it also gives kids a few ways to have some special Clone Troopers without having to make new figures for it, and also just adding to play. So really, I don't see the helmet holes as a blemish, just more of a way to customize your clones. That being said, this is one of the best clone sets in my collection currently. It is a really nice looking walker, and it also has some pretty great clone figures, including Commander Cody, which looks great alongside the other commanders. However, there is one thing about this ATT that I just wish was a little better, and that is the stud launchers. This kind of seems like a puny feature, whereas a flick-fire missile would be able to at least take a figure down. These stud shooters don't feel like they would be necessarily powerful for something that's supposed to be this hulking tank. But other than that, that is a small blemish on an otherwise great set. It has plenty of interior space, and as well as plenty of space for other clone troopers. The only regret I have is that I wish I found a way to get more 212 troopers. I was hoping for a battle pack, but that didn't turn out to happen. So we'll have to see if they do decide to make a battle pack for this. And finally, let's get to the most underrated clone set, which I believe a lot of people hate on too much. And that is the Coruscant Guard gunship. This is a specialized Republic gunship for the Coruscant Guard, which you can see here. This set comes with Commander Fox as well as 2 shock troopers. And there are a few flaws with this set, I'll say it up front. 1. There is absolutely no extras to this set, even though there are clearly spaces for a command station or perhaps some small speeder build. However, this was fixed in the Clones vs. Droid Battle Pack, as there is a speeder and a small command station / turret station that can fit inside this structure or this space in the Coruscant Guard gunship. So at least they made it so that if you had that set, you could use the space in the gunship to store some of those smaller builds. That being said, the gunship isn't too bad. I like that it looks nice and maroon. It's definitely a nice color to have as a gunship. I do like the white bits in front and the ball turrets as well. As for the doors, I really can't complain. I do like the clean look of it. Maybe having that 2-sided door where it splits apart would have been nice, but I don't mind this door at all. Being able to put figures in is still great, and getting some solid minifigures alongside it. That being said, this also reflects a small issue on the minifigures part. You see, only one minifigure really got hate on, and that's Commander Fox. Because the printing messed up and he has this pink torso, area, which looks really off for a clone trooper. However, I am not one to be nitpicky about certain prints. I do wish it was of a better quality because he'll just look like that for eternity. Maybe when they start perfecting these prints, they could go back and make a second version of this gunship to be put on the market, meaning that you could have two different Commander Foxes, one with the blemished torso and one without. But I doubt that'll even happen. So that's it for talking about clone trooper sets, and honestly, they can vary. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad. I think the bad only comes from looking at the little minor things, which for accuracy I can get, but when it's all put into perspective, these sets are meant for kids. But they also can be solid display pieces. And if the clone trooper has a tiny helmet hole, I don't think it's a huge deal when you're putting on display, as you won't easily notice it. But I do like that they're starting to include more clone trooper prequel-based sets, as it really adds to the diversity part of LEGO, where a few years back they were feeling a bit stale, like in 2021 with all the Mandalorian sets. Here they're starting to add a few more interesting ideas, like including some prequels alongside original trilogy sets. And that diversity is part of what makes LEGO Star Wars fun to collect, because you can get various ships from various different eras. And I think the important thing here is that they are working on trying to make these clone troopers as good as possible. The helmet holes might not go away anytime soon, but I think they are working with what they have with certain molds to make these clone troopers look at least as solid as they can be with working around that mold. And I think it shows with the new clone pilots. Even though I said I wouldn't bring up the ARC 170, these clone pilots are some of the best looking clone trooper figures that we've received. They have an excellent helmet mold and honestly pair really nicely with all these modern clone trooper sets. And for a large part of it, they haven't really downscaled much. If anything, they've upscaled certain sets that don't need to be upscaled, or possibly just shortened it ever so slightly to the point where you're not going to really notice it, but it'll still look cool in your collection. So honestly, I like the direction that they're going with modern clone trooper sets, and I really hope to see more exciting stuff from LEGO. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be sure to let you know when the next Unscripted Thoughts video comes out. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more Star Wars and LEGO content, and I'll see you guys next time.